Alright, this is the coffee and critique of my week 11 for 52 frames. This week's theme was rule of thirds. That's where we pretty much divide the screen or the image into 9 blocks. Each line one third over, one third over, then one third down, one third down. And the principle behind this is you want to have your major focal points at the intersection of those lines of third. Keeps you away from center weighting your object, so like when you take a portrait and you stick somebody's head right in the middle, it's considered a little bit more artistic, aesthetically pleasing. In the landscape world, you try to get your foreground picture in that lower third, your kind of main focus, whether it's a mountain or a waterfall or a tree or whatever it is, in that middle third, and then your sky or horizon in the upper third. So without further ado, we'll jump into the pictures. I will say that I had great plans for this week that didn't happen. All of the images that I captured were taken with my phone as I was out running. I had planned on shooting some stuff on the weekend, later in the week, and then it ended up raining all weekend, so I wasn't able to make it out. So working with just stuff I took on the phone. Now, when I did take it on the phone, I did take it with the idea of, practicing rule of thirds, even if I didn't ultimately think I was going to use the image from a image quality standpoint. So, first one, I was just running along the Potomac River, saw a bunch of people out rowing, so I was able to kind of play around with the composition and catch the boats at various rules of third. People in the water at various rules of third. I was trying to keep a little bit of the foreground, something up close that would be in that lower third, kind of have the river in that middle third, and then the far bank and horizon in the upper third. And then afterwards I was able to kind of crop it down, because when you're taking with the phone you don't always get the exact proportions that you want. So a little bit of editing in post, but not really doing a lot of just mainly cropping and resizing. So played around. These didn't turn out too bad. It's low light, and I'm with a cell phone camera, so it's hard for the camera to do that. That's asking a lot for what it is. It's moving objects, low light. I'm not on a tripod, so these turned out fairly blurry, but they are what they are. I was able to get a couple of these with Georgetown in the horizon. In this one, I tried to line up the main boats, and then have the skyline, sky above as the upper third. Kind of take some of that. You have the pinnacle there in Georgetown in the upper right third, and the boats in the lower left third. So kind of trying to maximize the rule of thirds. As it got darker, this was, I can run or I can photograph. I've learned I really can't do both, because I end up running late and then running in the dark. So I did try to get a picture of the Key Bridge here, and try to get some rule of thirds on it. But ultimately, this image is just, I don't have enough ISO on that camera on my cell phone for this to really turn out. So wouldn't have been bad if I would have had a real camera, but just it wasn't going to happen with that. So I took the base image, and then looking across the river, where I tried to get basically, instead of having the bank be the rule of thirds, I took both the skyline and then a reflection of the skyline, and put those two things in that center third, and then sky above. So once again, I used the tower for my upper right third to try to play with that. The tower was not really enough of a feature to really stand out. You want your rule of third focal point to really be something that's going to jump out. And that was kind of what ended up killing the picture I did submit. This was sunset on the Washington Mall. I'm standing at the Ulysses S. Grant Memorial, whatever that is, with the little reflecting pool in front. And for me, as soon as the sun dropped right behind the Smithsonian Castle there, And for me, the obvious rule of thirds were the light post and the Washington Monument, and you had both of their reflections are lined up with this rule of thirds. Yeah, I played with where the reflection was crossing the water and where I think it was the top left third is the light post, and then the bottom third is I think the horizon in the reflecting pool. But after I submitted it, everyone commented that no, the castle or the sunset was really the focal point, and it obviously is. I mean, when you're looking at this picture, you're going to look at the sun and the castle silhouetted by it, not a lamppost off on the left side. So it was just one of those things where in the moment, my eye jumped to something, and then when I looked at the picture after the fact, my mind was still thinking of what it looked like in real life. So I did play around with a couple of different edits of this. This one gave it a little bit more wider. So the Washington Monument and the lamppost are clearly on the thirds, but once again, you have this center weighted sunset / Smithsonian Castle silhouetted, which makes this not at all a rule of thirds picture. So, okay picture. It was, I was jogging and just happened to catch a sunset, and so I whipped out the phone and took it. It was not a planned thing, although now that I've seen it do that, that may be something I try to capture in the future, possibly focusing in on the silhouetted Smithsonian Castle. So basically the takeaway from this is be careful that your actual focal point is the rule of third and not just the thing you happen to be thinking about at the time. So I would like to say that I learned from this, but I make this mistake quite often. But that's my coffee and critique of rule of thirds.